So we was going previously in the CSS and we had covered most of the topic. So today we will move to the next. Let me go directly there. Okay, so this design already had done. Let me go through starting. So we had discussed regarding what is CSS. CSS is mostly using for what purpose? Cascading style set, means for the designing purpose. Okay. So why be writing CSS? What are the different ways of writing CSS? So different ways of writing CSS badge, internal, inline, external, three ways of writing CSS. So how we writing external? It was we have to write with the file, external file. Internal case we have to write with the style tag, and in inline case we have to write with along with the tag itself. Next we had seen how we can write a style with the tag. Then we had moved next internal CSS. How we can write internal CSS? Internal will be with the style tag. Next was external CSS. So external CSS was with the external file, means we have the external style sheet file, and with the help of that we can write our CSS. Next we had seen how we can add color. Color in the sense a text color or means background color, different color property we had seen. So this way we can change the color. Then we had looked over the background color. How we can add background color? So with the help of the background property. Okay. So this time we can add the background color in our UI. UI in the sense user interface, where user can interact with your website. Then we had looked over the text color. Then we looked regarding the border. What is the border? Border means outside the text or outside the images, anything outside that will look like a boundary. Then how we can style the border. So different border proper different border styling we have, like dotted, dashed, solid, groups, ridge, inset, offset, different is there. If you not want, then you can go with none, border none. It will completely hide the border. So in border, there was three property mostly. One was width, style, and a color. Three property we have to write that border. And this type, if we writing 5 pixel solid red, what am you getting that example? So if we writing like this is known as the shorthand notation. And mostly when you're writing the code, you will always follow like this itself. But if you want particular area, particular side, then in that also we can go for the design. Then we had looked over the border radius. What was the use of border radius? Border radius was providing you the facility to make a curve, okay, at the corner. Because if we not providing anything, in that case, we getting square. So we have to make the means we was getting conical shape, like a angle 90 degree. So we can make cubic a curve type of shape. So then we had looked over some example how we can make circle, square, rectangle. So here was the design. Just 1 second. Okay. So then we had seen the solution, what how to write the code. Then we had moved regarding the button design, that how we can design the button. So here you can see that we have stylist of the button. So mostly when you going for the UI design, in that case, what will happen? We will create the navigation bar. And in the case of navigation bar, you will see that many different type of UI. So in that time, actually, these all designing purpose, designing CSS will help you. Then here is the solution of that. Next, margin. Okay, so we had stopped here actually, that what is margin. So for understanding the case of margin and padding, two things is there. If we will look over that, then what is margin? Anyone have idea? What is margin? If anyone have idea, just you can. No one have. Okay, why so? Just 1 second. Let to be external CSS. I will write in the internal itself. So actually margin, padding, these all are somewhat confusing topic. So just understanding the clear concept. Okay. So before that, I will go with the paint. So actually, when you will study CSS in that deep, then you will study the box model. So box model will help you in the understanding of means in clear time picture, but this will also that not any so mostly what we are doing, we are writing some text. We written here some text. Okay, so when you're writing any text, there will be some imaginary border in the sense boundary point. Let me increase this. Yeah, so there will be some imaginary boundary point. Now you can see there is no any boundary point around hello world, but outside you can see that, but don't uh, think regarding the outside of boundary. We have to discuss regarding the inner part. We not want that outside one. So what will happen actually, there will be some area like this. Okay, so this is your boundary point. Now you can imagine one thing, the space which is outside this boundary. Okay, don't consider this boundary anymore. This is nothing. So the space which is outside the boundary, and this boundary will be imaginary actually. So this outside boundary will known as the margin. Means you can imagine one thing regarding outside of the screen, means this boundary point, this is like a browser. This is your screen complete. Okay, and here is some text on UI. It means it has some length, some height, and some width. Means some content when it coming on the browser, then in the complete window it will come in the screen somewhere only. But whatever extra spaces outside, that maybe we can consider as a boundary. It means this is your browser window. This complete is your browser window outside, and the space which is inside. Okay, so this space consider up to not up to text, because there will be one imaginary border here. So consider this is your margin. So this means a space outside the boundary point and inside the browser window. It means this is your browser window. So that will be the space in the middle of that will be known as the border. And inside the boundary point and outside the text, because here we have text. This text hello world and this red color boundary, this is your padding. So this will be your padding, and this space will be your margin. Okay, now let's understand the same thing with the help of the code. So what we written? We written just here h1 hello to, welcome to India. Now pass a style and take h1 tag, and on h1 let add margin. Server is already running. Okay. So here we got a welcome to India, but we will not get the clear picture actually. Now take the code and start increasing or decreasing some margin there. Then we will see that what is happening there. Yeah, let's increase the value. Take 120. Let's see what happened. The complete text, it came down because the margin now we providing that is going in the complete section, means all around in the all direction, because we passing single value. So when we will pass single value, it will go in the all direction. Suppose when we passing double value, it will go in means two direction, top, bottom, left, right, like this type direction is going on. Okay, so we will look over the all direction. Fine. So let's decrease this and now see. Just put 10 pixel. It gone completely. Let's increase this value. Go 100 pixel. It came down. So this is known as the margin actually. I can show you the means direct actually also in real visualization. Let's see. When you will do right click, inspect. Okay. After inspect, you will get this window. So here you getting one thing. Yeah. So here you can see one thing. Here you getting one diagram. This is known as the box model. And when you attending interview, means this is the most important part of the interview. Short and short, in interviewer, they are asking this question. What is box model? Okay. Many times, this is just a small part. This is not very big and very complicated, nothing like that. But we not aware regarding the term. That's why we can't able to answer. That is the main issue. So here you can see, just put the cursor over this text. What you getting? Text is there and outside be getting the orange color. And you can see the color also there. Now go out inside completely. Now click this. And now put cursor over here. The text is there. Padding. We not passed any padding. So we not getting that padding section. But what I told, imaginary border. That is the border. And go outside. This is your margin. So what we had discussed in the paint, the same diagram is here. The text inside this boundary and inside a space between the text and the boundary, that is your padding. But the space which is outside the boundary, this boundary, don't consider this boundary because this is your UI screen, complete browser window. So the space between this one, this is your margin, means outside the border is margin, inside the border is the padding. Two things is there. So you can see that outside is the margin. Now let's add padding here. Then you can visualize. Sorry. Padding past 25 pixel. Let's save. Now we passed padding. Now you can see here also what is the value. Padding 25 pixel and margin is 100 pixel. Now you can see the space of the color. Outside we getting that color, but inside we have one green color. But in middle the border is there. Put border. BORDER. Yesterday we had seen how to put border. Border 5 pixel. Pass anything solid red. Now you can see the real picture will show you. Now see. This is your text. Go inside. This is your padding. This is your border. And this is your margin. Now what we will do? We will increase the value. Let me increase the margin. Now just tell me, if I will increase the margin, then which space will increase? Outside the boundary or inside the boundary? Anyone have idea?
Outside. Outside.
Outside the boundary, because margin is outside. Let it try. What happened? Outside the border itself, the space is increasing because you can see that border and the text. The space between the border and text is not going to increase. That is fixed. See that? It's not increasing and decreasing. That fixed. But outside, we are getting that. So next, what we will do? We will increase the padding side. Let's see. The padding that is inside the boundary and the text means a space between the boundary and the text. Let's increase and decrease. Now you can see the inside the area is increasing, correct? And here you have the border. If you want more, then we can increase this screen. Yeah, now you can see more. Let me, where is the device? Samsung Galaxy laptop, yeah. Yeah. So let increase this margin. See that now. Is outside. It's increasing or decreasing. That is known as the margin. Now let's move to padding. A space inside the border. Now we can see a space which is inside the boundary and that text that is increasing and decreasing. That is due to the padding. Let's move to the border. That thickness of the boundary that is increasing. So this is known as the here whatever diagram you getting, this is known as the box model. Okay, so this way we can understand the margin and padding. So for the real visualization, you have to at least go with means border. Then you will got the clear understanding how that margin and padding is working. Otherwise, for theoretical, you can understand that's not the issue. But for the practical, you have to move like this. And one thing, box model. Box model is nothing actually. In box model, this all whatever you getting here in diagram, that that combinedly known as the box model. Means encapsulation means wrapping together combinedly. In Java, in OOPS concept, we always means studying that one encapsulation. So encapsulation of margin outside that is margin. You getting the name also here. Margin, border, padding, and this is your content text size. So combinedly margin, border, padding, content text is known as the box model. Okay, and this is the most important topic for the CSS interview, box model. Okay, so let's move to the slide. So margin are used to create a space around the element outside of any defined border. If you have border, then only you can see that. So how we can realize the border? Background color be passed here, border be passed, and margin be passed 50 pixel. So you can see hello world is there, boundary point is there. So outside, what is yellow color? That is known as the margin area. Next, padding. Just now we discussed the same thing. So padding is used to create the space around an element content, means outside the element and inside the boundary. Inside of any defined border, CSS has the property for specifying the padding for each side of element. Next, set the different of that div. Suppose here what we taken div, and here you can see background color be passed red, border be passed means a different type. Here be passing margin and padding together, so you will understand that. So if you have to look complete picture means a real scenario, then you can go with the margin, padding, border. Make this all three property together, then you will get the real picture. Okay, next, height and width. So suppose height and width, already we had discussed this thing yesterday also. So if you have to apply height, you can go with height property. It's nothing is there, just you can pass a height, how much height you want, and width, how much width you want. Like we had designed that rectangular shape, so that will help you in designing that one. Like here text is there, a be passed a height and width, so like that you can move. Next is text alignment. What is that text alignment? Text alignment means now suppose if you will look that any text, by default any text will be in which direction? Anyone having idea?
Left side.
By default it will be left side. Okay, so let me comment, no, let it to be. Now we can see the text alignment. Basically, it will be in the left direction. Okay. So suppose if you want to move this text in the right side or in the center like that. So how we can do? So that we can do with the help of the text alignment. So here we can pass text alignment, give that center. Let's save. What happened? Now our text is in the center. Okay. If you want to move in the right side, what we will do? Let it to be this one. So it was the left side, sorry, center. Right side. So this time we can move the any text in the right side. Okay. So what we used? We used the property text alignment. Text alignment have value center, right, or by default that is left side. Okay.
Sir, can
So
I use
text of
also? Hello.
yeah, yeah. Tell.
So can I use also bottom center?
Bottom center no. Bottom center no. That is different thing actually. Means you going to align that text horizontal direction. Got it? This text is
Only
moving
line.
in
Okay,
the
sir.
yeah horizontally. If you have to go vertically, that is different property. Means in vertically it will come like a top, middle, bottom, like that type. That is different property. Okay. So text alignment center. Here we can get with the left and the right. So three direction. So this become the output. Next, font size. Suppose if you have to increase or decrease the font, if your font is not looking, means this suppose that the size of this font is small and you want to increase. So we can do that. So we can do that for the font text. You can give that font size. So suppose we can pass suppose 25 pixel. Let's see. So you can see that it's look like very small. Let's go with the 100%. Okay. Now I will increase the font. Let's go with 250 pixel. What happened? It got increased. It means with the help of font means suppose you taking a span means any type of the paragraph or any tag span which is going to write a small letter. With the help of font size, it will bold. It will be got increase the size. Okay. So like this type, font size will help you in increasing the font as per our requirement. So we can pass font size, any size you can pass H1P, any tag. These all are simple actually. Next, you have to create this gallery, image gallery. So you can see here, I'm not going to create, this is for the self practice. So you have to take multiple images here, but you can see that first image on the left top border is curved. Last image, right top border is curved. Then you can see below image, bottom right, that border is curved. And last bottom image, left down means left bottom image means left bottom border that is curved. Okay. But in the middle, these all are the different pictures. So just you have to take, nothing is there, just a simple, you have to take that much images. You can use br tag or either you can use any block level element div, and then you have to make the curve of this image, last one. That type you have to practice. Already we had on this type, we had designed that previously. So you can practice. This type of scenario you will get in the real time. When you're going in company will not tell you any documentary or anything. They will provide you images, screenshot they will provide you, because that designer is going to design that screenshot, means that will be image. So they will provide you the image, and with the help of that image, you have to design the code. You have to write the code if you're working on the UI side. So they will provide you image you have to convert in the code side. And code not like that it will be in the laptop view, it will be in the mobile tab. In all view you have to think. Okay, so next is selector. So before moving to selector, we will move with the id and class. So let's see what is class. Id and class, this is the most important topic of the HTML part. If you don't know id and class, means you don't know anything in the HTML. That is the case. So now what we are doing, how we was applying CSS. We was going with the tag, correct? And we was passing the, just 1 second. So we was going with the, what is the file name? Okay. So what we was doing, we was going with the tag and we was passing the, we was applying the CSS. Let's apply the background color. Background color red. Now what happened? Background color become red. Now we have 5 h1 tag. We have 5 h1. All will get red, but I not want all to be red. I want just one h1 to be red, and the remaining all h1 have some different color. Some h1 have different color. What we will do? But what we had done right now, we was applying CSS on HTML tag. So this is not the good practice while writing the CSS. It's never. Let's comment. So next way of writing the CSS. So we can go with class name. Okay. So suppose that what property we going to do in this one, we wanted to change the background color. So we can give the class bg color. Something we can give. This is just name. But now one thing, when we writing like this bg color, the HTML will think that this is your tag. This bg color means now HTML will think that this is your tag. So it will search somewhere in your content regarding this particular tag. But is this really tag? No, this is not the tag. This is something we had written. And what we are doing, we are trying to write this as a class. So this is your class. So what we have to do, we have to pass this identification to tag also, means where we want to apply the background color. So what we doing, we are writing this class commonly. Okay, so we have to take this class name and we have to pass with the class attribute in the tag wherever we want to apply. Suppose I want to make the color of this one red. Let's apply here. Write class attribute. Class attribute. So we can pass the here bg color. Now save. One second. But now what happened? We not got the output. Why? Because here nothing is there, just a name is there. Due to name, the HTML will think that, or browser will decide that this is like a tag. But what we are telling, this is a class. So you have to give the some identification that really this is a class. So for identifying class, we have to pass a dot here. Okay. So if you passing dot now, this become your class. Save. Only particular this h1 become the red. It means now what all, suppose here we passing p tag. Okay, and this is your, and this is your paragraph. Let's save. We got the paragraph. Now what we want? We want this paragraph also to be read. So nothing we have to worry. We will pass the class name bg color, whatever we had written there, and save. Your this section become color. It means when you writing CSS while the working in the company, so never go with CSS with your tag. Not only company, if you practicing, don't go CSS with tag. Never utilize this thing. You can always go with your class. Okay. So this type, what we can do, we can apply the CSS. But suppose that there is one more way of writing CSS, that is with the help of the ID. So this is your class based. Okay. So there is another way of writing CSS, that is your class. Then what is the difference between these both? So now what we had done, we had written here class. Okay. Now we can write ID also. ID is like a identification. Okay. As suppose you are in college or you are working somewhere. So your identity card is your identification for that company or for that college. Means we can point out a particular tag with the help of the ID. So what I want to pass something, means like here again the color. Okay, I want to pass the color, but now what we had understand, that if you not passing nothing, it will behave like a tag. It means when we passing dot, it will behave like a class. But if we not passing, means if we want to use that as a ID. Okay, so for ID we have to pass a hash symbol. So when you passing hash, it become ID. Okay, so now what we want? We want for the ID color to be green. Means for this all 5 or 6 H1 tag, I want different color. So now you can take this ID one and you can pass. But see what happened? No, we had not pointed that one. Okay. So now we got the output. It means what we can do? We can go with either ID or either class based CSS. But ID you can't use multiple, means you can't use same ID in multiple tag. So it will also not good practice to go with ID. Best practice of writing CSS, you can always go with the class based of CSS. Okay. So this type we can apply CSS based on three property. That is, one is tag based. This is your tag based. Next is your class based, and third one is your ID based. So this type we can write CSS in theory. So which one we will never follow? Tag based. Why? What is the reason? Because if you applied anything on particular tag, it will be applied on your complete design, means all code. It will got effect. So never try to write CSS based on the tag. Always go with either ID or either class. Both you can go. There is no any problem in with this both case. So now, so this was your ID and class topic which we had left in the HTML. So now the same thing we have to understand in the selector. So what is selector? Selector means pointing out something, means we have to select something. So what we are doing here? Here, what we was doing with H1 tag, we was targeting all H1 and we was pointing background color red, that we was selecting. What we doing here? Class based. What we are doing here? We are targeting the class and we are adding the background color. Then what we doing here? We pointing ID and then we applying the background color. Means in all the three condition, we are targeting something. The same thing when we will move in the JavaScript, you will see that that is the selector. And actually, when you attending interview, selector is the most important topic for the CSS. Not only CSS, JavaScript also. They will directly ask you the question, what is selector and what is the use and how many type of selector are there, what are the different ways of writing code, and this is the most important part of the CSS and JavaScript. So this type we can point out. So this is known as the selector, means we are pointing something, we selecting something. So selector, there are total 5 category. Many person will know that only 3 categories are there, but no, that is selector are total 5 category, means 5 types of CSS. Sorry, 5 type of selector. So first selector is simple selector. In simple selector, we have to select the element based on name, ID, class, that we doing here. Name in the sense tag name, class and ID. So this is your simple selector. And with selector, what we can do? We can point out the CSS. We can apply the CSS. Next selector is combinator selector. Combinator selector going to select element based on the specific relationship between them, class and ID. So this is your simple selector. And with selector, what we can do? We can point out the CSS. We can apply the CSS. Next selector is combinator selector. Combinator selector going to select element based on the specific relationship between them. Means it will go and make the relationship. Like suppose I will write just some small example. Suppose here you written div, and inside div you writing h1 hello. Now you can imagine what is the relation between div and h1. So there is a relation of parent and child. If some effect, some property, if we want on the parent and child, means first child, second child. So in that case, we can go like this type, and this will be known as the combinator selector. And there are different symbol, means how we can write the CSS for that all. So that will be known as your combinator selector. That will comes under the combinator selector. Next is pseudo class selector. What is pseudo? Pseudo already we had understand that means we are studying in the physics. Pseudo means false, which is not really. Okay, that's like this means be applying that pseudo class selector, but actually the selector is not available. Means that class is not available. Selector is there, but class is not there. Means that is false like that. We will see that on pseudo class. We have some example. So pseudo class element, same thing. Pseudo means false, but it will apply on the over the element. Next, attribute selector. What is attribute? From the starting itself, we are understanding this attribute. So what is that? Attribute here we passed a class. If you going in form, suppose if we writing any input, can anyone tell me what are the attribute in this in input field? What is the attribute name in this input field?
Type.
Type. Okay, so like that placeholder, different things are there. So this is known as the attribute, and we can apply the CSS over attribute selector. So total selector, that is 5 type of selector: simple selector, combinator, pseudo class, pseudo element, attribute selector. And inside the combinator selector, when you will move, there will be again 4 type of selector. Okay, so descendant child selector, descendant sibling selector, general sibling selector, the different selector is again in the inside the combinator selector. So there is not 3 type, there are 5 type of selector. Okay, so here this we are going to with the simple selector, and in simple selector we have to point the tag or ID or class. So here we pointing the tag based, here we applied on the P. Next, ID based selector. In ID, how we can point that this is ID or class. So ID we will point with the help of the hash. Okay, and class we will point with the help of the dot. That is the major difference. And point out this, keep in mind this point, because in interview they are making confusing in this thing. They will make you try to make you confused that whether this is ID or whether this is class. So ID selector, ID we will target with the hash symbol. Just now we seen the example, the same example is there. Hash para 1, we had passed that name. Next is class selector. So in class selector, again class means dot symbol. Okay, so dot center, so it will do something. That is it. Next is the universal selector. Can anyone tell what is the symbol of universal?
Uh, Stars.
Yeah, it is star. So suppose that what I want that whether this tag or p tag, h1 tag, anything, we not want to point anything, but we want the background color to be green for all the tag, for all the body, whatever is there. Just pass a star. Let's see whether it working. So yeah, it worked because what we had done, we had written a star and then we passed the background color. So this type we can create, that means we can apply that CSS on the complete. So this is known as the universal selector with the help of the star. Here we was pointing any tag or ID or class. No need to point anything. You can directly go that. Anyone have idea what is resetting in CSS? Because in interviewer they are asking this thing, what is resetting in CSS? So what is the use of this star? What we are doing mostly, we are going to reset the CSS completely. Resetting in the sense we have to make margin 0. This means the resetting of CSS. We can make padding 0 and some more property which will be required. That means the resetting of CSS. Now you can see what are you getting here. Previously this was getting something margin or padding left side and something on the top, but now you can realize this completely gone and the left side. If you will remove this, then you will see, you can realize that that is known as the resetting of CSS. So two things they are asking, resetting in CSS and normalized in CSS. Normalized means by default normal value. Okay, so next here what is the activity? You have one table, registration table, which we had designed during the HTML. Okay, so you have to apply like this type of design. So let's move to, I will take that HTML table itself, which we had designed that time. Where is the code? Yeah, table. Fine. So previously itself we had designed this one, that table design. Okay, now what I want to add, where is the sample? Yeah, I want to add the border, means left, right, everywhere boundary point. Already been understand that, we know how to add boundary or border, anything you can tell, or means on the complete table. So first we have to take the tag or class name, anything we can take, that's not the issue. So I taking the table. After that means what we will do, first we will put the boundary point over a complete table. So that's why I taking the complete table tag, and this is your parent tag, because all the table element, this is in capturing inside the table tag itself. Okay, it means this table tag going to apply on completely. Let's take the border 5 pixel solid green. Let's see what is happening. What happened? We got the border, but we got around all the table. How we will get the boundary point over the each column, each data, means whatever data is there, how we will get that. So go inside the table. It means you can see that we have one tr. Okay, and tr means that will be for the row side. Row side in the sense left to right, horizontal. So let's try. We don't know whether it will work on the tr, td, th on which tag, but let's try on which it's working. So on tr, we not got anything. It means it will not work on the tr side because we have one cell, and how that cell is creating? Cell is creating at the point of intersection of row and column. That will be your. So let's move with the td. Now you can see we got something, but what is the problem now? We have gapping at each, so we have to reduce that. So there is another property, that is collapse, border collapse, and pass here collapse means whatever boundary is there, we have to collapse that, and that is your border collapse. But now the problem is there, name, email, mobile number. We not have this boundary. What we will do? It means we have the border, but we not get their name, email, mobile. So what is the issue? We had taken the TD, and you can see that TD is here. So same type, what is here? TH. So what we will do? We will take here TH. Let's save. So now we got the border over the complete table. So this type we can design the table. Okay. If you want to apply background color backside, you can pass there. Suppose you passing here background color red. Let's save. What happened? Your table become colorful. Okay. So this type we can design the table. Many things are there inside. Like you can go with row span, column span, different things are there. Okay. So this type we can complete that table task. Next, here you have code. You can go with this. You can practice. There is the HTML, CSS code. Next, border collapse. Just now we understand this collapsing of the border means name and email. The border gapping was there. So with the help of border collapse, it will remove the gapping. Whatever multiple border is there, that will be removed. So this border. Okay, width 100%. If you applying width 100%, it will give you table in the complete full direction, means left to right browser. Next is float. What is the float? Now you can see one thing, your table. Just imagine, suppose you want this table to move in the right side. What we will do? We will use the property float, because float will help you in moving anything from any direction, means left or right, anything like that. Suppose that this table I want to move in the right direction. What we will do? We will use what we want to move, table. So we will take the table tag, table float, and we can pass here property right. Let's see, moved. Yeah. So this type we can move the table in the right side, or by default, what is the value? That is left. Okay. Even if you have images, you can go with this, and you can float your image in the right side, left side, in which direction you want. So we have property that's a float left. Either you can use this with the help of that ID or with the help of that tag. Anything, it's not the issue. Now what is there? Take two image, place those image into left and right of the screen. So what we will use? We will use the float property, because one image by default you will get in the left side. Another image, it have to come to the right screen. So you have to use the float property. Here is the code. Okay. So you can use the float property, it will give you. Next is transparency and opacity. What is opacity? Anyone have idea?
Visibility.
Okay. Visibility, correct. It means now cold climate is going. So outside if you will move, visibility will be very less. It means you have to increase the value of opacity. Then visibility will increase. DITTY. So these all topic, whatever we are covering, we had tried to take important topic, because when you going for the UI design, so that time at least you will get some, oh sorry, you can do at least somewhat. Okay, so in opacity, let's remove this. Okay, let it be. We will apply on the table itself, or otherwise we can go with image. So take one image. Let me take one image from that image. Copy image address. See, for the practice side, you can take any image. It's not the issue. You can utilize anyone. But when you're doing a real-time project, you can't use any image from the Google. Means you can utilize, but there should not be any logo, hallmark of any company, anything. Otherwise, they will claim on your project, because that become the copyright issue. So never try to, when you, suppose if you're doing on any freelancing type of work, so you have to take care of this thing. So image. So what we will do, we want to make this means visibility type something. Transparency, we want to reduce the transparency. So opacity value, it will be vary between 0 to 1. 0.0 to 1 in the sense, how many values are there? Can anyone tell how many digits we can take between 0 to 1? How many number we can take? Let's check your IQ. Anyone? How many number digit? How many number we can take between 0 to 1? 10 digit?
Unlimited, sir.
Limited,
Unlimited.
correct. We can take unlimited, because there is no limit. Because when you will go with 0.1, next layer you will go 0.001, next 0.000, like that type you can. So there is no any limit between this. So next, let's save. So what happened? This become the opacity. Now if you writing any text or anything, you can put over this. That's why if you have any means more dark image, you can go like this, and you can increase or decrease the visibility. So visibility means opacity, transparency. Okay, so we can pass the value between 0 to 1, or second type, that we can pass the value in the percentage. Why be passing percentage? Actually both are same. If you writing here 0.5, in the sense how much percentage this one? So it will be 50%.
50%.
Correct. So see, the output in both the case 0.5 or either 0. Means 50%, both are same. So we can pass the value either 0.0 to 1 or 0 to 100 percentage value. So like that. So if you want less, you can decrease, means you can increase and decrease the value. So in interviewer, most of the case what they are asking, that when the opaque means which value of opacity will be transparent and which value will be opaque completely. Means if you have to make complete opaque image, how you will do? Or if you have to make complete transparent, then how you will do? So let's move 100%. What happened? Complete transparent image, correct? It means, and when you going complete 0%, nothing is visible. Means it become complete opaque image. Opaque or transparent, whatever you can tell, but image gone completely hide. So this type we can change the value. And these all things actually will help you in the real time of scenario. Okay, so transparency value 0.5, then we got this output. Next, transparent over effect. It means now you will got some assignment type. So in the selector, actually we had studied one selected pseudo class. So in pseudo class, what we had told, there is no class, but we are applying that CSS. So that is known as the pseudo class selector. So that is the one type of selector. Means one type of example you can tell H over effect. Means when we will move mouse, in that case it will going to apply that. So what we had done here, Let's apply on this itself. And whenever you writing the name of the file, try to use that camel case. So now what is our requirement? Our requirement is that now the transparency is like 20%. Okay. And when I will put cursor over this image, I want to look the complete picture, means complete proper image. Image should be proper visible. Let's copy paste the same. So what we will do, be writing here image tag. Here we have to write colon, and after that you have to give over. That's it. Change the value, make it 100%. It means when we will put cursor over this image, the transparency will be increased. Let's see whether really it's working or not. So now you can see when you're putting cursor, that when we putting mouse over this, the transparency going to be increase and decrease. So like this type, your who is working now, this H over going to make this effect. Now suppose on the H over I want to change the color also, means background color. Let's add here background color. But in image case, I not thinking that we can change. But let's try see that. No, in image case you can't. But this you can do with the help of the body or somewhere like that. Okay. So this type your mouse over effect will work. So on that, in mouse over effect, we can do many things. We can change the text, we can apply border, anything. Suppose here we want to pass a border. Pass the border 5 pixel, solid and red. Increase the boundary, put 15. Now put the cursor. What happened? On image, there is no boundary point, but when you putting mouse, this border is coming. Okay. Because what we had done, we had added the pseudo class. Mouse over effect, it will show there. Okay, so here we had added the opacity. When you mouse over, the opacity of the image will be changed. Next, what is the segment? Apply border and zoom the image when moving mouse over the image. It means here the picture, when you're putting the mouse over the image size and boundary is going to be added. One border is adding. So just now we had seen boundary already be added, but regarding the zooming means when you creating gallery of the image, when you creating, suppose in the real scenario, when you will create the gallery, that time you will get this type of scenario. Mouse over zoom. Don't learn the code, learn the logic, because code you will forget, but logic you will not forget. Okay, so what is our requirement on mouse over? Opacity is something, but here what I want to apply the border and I want to increase the height also, height and width, whatever size is there. So let's first decrease the height and width. Height 200 pixel and width 200 pixel. Okay, now it become the small. Let's remove this opacity. I not want anymore. So what we want? We want to add the border when we putting cursor. Border is there, fine. Now next requirement, increasing of the size. Okay, so already we have height and width. Okay, so what we will do, we will again add here height and width, because on mouse over again I want to apply the same effect. So that's we will do again 500 pixel. Whatever value you want, you can pass that. That's not the issue. Let's try. Now you can see this is known as the zooming effect. When you creating any gallery, So in that gallery image, we have to show like this type, that when you will move the cursor, image become the larger. Okay, so how we had done? We applied just mouse over effect, and on mouse over effect, what are the things we want to perform? So when we moving cursor, we want to add border. So border is here. Next, I want to increase the size, height and width. Previously, height and width was 200 and 200. When we putting cursor, I want to increase height. So we added that height and width again. Means when you will put mouse, again that this CSS will be work. This type, this you will complete the task. Here is the solution. So you have height and width. When you putting cursor, again you getting height and width and border. Next task, you have one square, and when you putting cursor over this, you have to convert into the circle. Okay, now be getting a square. When we putting cursor over this, you have to convert into the circular shape. Let's see how we can do. So how we can create a square? How we can create a square or circle, anything? Yesterday we had discussed that. Yes, UARE square to so let's remove this completely. So what we have to do? We have to first create a square, correct? A square or circle, anything. So first we will create a square. So let's go with a div. Now for the square, what are the things required? First I will go with background color. Then we will see the effect directly. Background color red. Let's save. Square to circle. Yeah, we got background color, but output is not there. No issue. We will got. Next, we have to create one square. For a square, what are the things required? So if you creating a square, for a square or circle, for a square or rectangle, anything, create a square itself. Yeah. So for a square, what are the things required? This height will be required and this width will be required. Correct. So same thing we will pass. We will pass a height. We will take anything 200 pixel and we will take a width. Take width 200 pixel. Mute. Someone is on and mute, please. Okay. So now what happened? We got the square shape. Now what we want? We have to convert into the square shape. So do one thing. Copy this code and comment this one first. Now make that circle. How we can make circle? Height and width, let it to be. How to make a curve of the shape? Corner should be curve. How we can do? With the help of which CSS?
User radius.
Border radius.
We will use border radius.
Correct. So we will provide border radius. Let's say pass 50%. So see, think how means learn the step how we have to proceed one by one. Because when you will got big design, you have to split that how you can proceed in the next level. So what be done? Border radius. Let's save. We got a circle now. It means we created the square, we created circle. And when it have to converted means this square have to visual first, but when we putting cursor over this, then square have to convert into the circular shape. Now let's show how that when we putting mouse over that, then only effect have to come. Then which was the property? Mouse over, that is h over property. Now add h over property. And now just see what happened. Your square is there, put cursor, it become the circle. Okay, but here we can reduce some code. Which code? I can show you. This background color. In the rectangle also be getting red and in the circular also be getting red. But if you want a different color, means in the rectangle you want something, put cursor, it become the circle. Okay, but here we can reduce some code. Which code? I can show you. This background color in the rectangle also be getting red, and in the circular also be getting red. But if you want a different color, means in the rectangle you want something, in the square you want something, you can change the color. Suppose here we want a green color. Let's save. Now see, your circle become green color and the square become the red color, like this type. Then next thing, height and width. Whatever height is there on the top, same height you getting here, then no need of write this. You can remove this. Now save and let's verify. Everything fine. Okay. Then border radius. Border radius will be required. Then only this square will convert into the radius form. Clear? So this we can do in the image case also. Means we can take image and a square image will convert into the circular image, or even circular image you want, then convert into the rectangular image. Like that we can do anything. That's not the issue. Just we have to think the logic that how we can move one by one step. So here the square was there and a square was converting into the circular shape. Now here is the output. You have to take one div, be taken the class name, you can go directly with div also, no issue. So on the square, we provided height, width, background color. Then we have to move into the radius, sorry, circle. Circle in the sense border radius. We have to provide that how much you want. This type of a style actually you will get when you will work on the like input field design and those all. So you have, when you putting cursor, then you have to change the shape of the border. You have to change the radius, corner radius, like that type of effect you have to show in the UI. Next is gradient. So many time you will see that you will get multiple color like this type of design. So this design will come with the help of the linear gradient, means not linear gradient, that term is known as the gradient. In this, we can add multiple images, means multiple colors, not images. And when you're designing high level of UI, that time this type of design will be available. Sometime in interview also, they are asking that what is gradient, how we can apply that. So what we done? Let's pass here some text, write with H1. Okay, so in linear gradient, how it will work? So suppose we taken here div and here be taking H1. Let's try on div. So here be taken div, and on div what we will pass. So this is look like a background color, but actually linear gradient we are not behaving like a background color. We are behaving like a background image. Okay, so we have to pass that background image, and this mistake most of the time we are doing. We are thinking that is a color, but no, that is not color. That we have to behave like a image. Okay, and then we have to pass the color, that from which value, means which type of color, it means which type of direction you want, either angular, linear, radial, means linear, radial, different types are there. So we have to think that in which direction we have to move the color. Now you can see color is moving from the left and the right direction, means right to left direction. In right side you can see that one side red and one side yellow, means left to right it is moving. So this type we have to pass that. So let's write linear gradient. Okay, and after linear gradient you have to give that direction, from which direction to which direction. So I want, by default it's taking left direction to right direction, comma. After that you have to pass a color name. Color name in the sense gradient. Let me run this page. Gradient. Gradient. Yeah. So here be given the direction left to right. What I want, I have to give the color. So I want red color. After that, give comma, and I want green. Let's save. Let's see whether it working. So now you can see we got the output. So the color is moving from the left direction to right direction. So this type we can pass the color in the case of the linear gradient. Suppose you want to pass a 3 color. Let's try here. Let's see whether it also came. So yeah, red, yellow, sorry, red, green, and yellow color. This type we can mix multiple color. As much color you will give, but what is happening? How it is moving? It's moving here. See, to right. In the sense, first color is red. It means first color be given red, and the direction be given left to right. If you want opposite direction, you can give left, and let's see whether the direction got changed. Yeah, now we got the left color. Means left, right side color is the red, then green, then yellow. Like this type we can move, and we can design our creative UI. That's very simple, but it will add more attractive in your UI case. So this is actually linear gradient. Linear gradient in the sense it will move that color or direction, color direction horizontal. Okay, not in the any other direction. So this is the output, and this type we can add that. So second is the radial gradient. Radial gradient in the sense radial or angular we are using means here we are using angle, but we are mostly telling radial gradient also. Linear gradient commonly be telling radial that linear itself. So here we have to pass the angle. Here you can see bottom that example. Background image, the same property. Here we writing the linear gradient itself, but here we passing angle. That how much angle you want. It's like 180 degree, red, yellow. I can show you the output. Here you can see the color. Color is coming from the top. Top is red. In the middle that is yellow. Let's write this code. Okay. So on H2, I want to pass a angle. Let's pass here 180. You have to give a degree also, I think. EEG. So now you can see. In one case, the color is moving horizontally left to right, and in another case, the color is coming from the top to bottom direction. Means here be passing angle. How much angle you want, like that type. It means from the 180 degree it will move. So here also we can add multiple color. As you will add all the area, it will try to capture in this section itself. Okay, so this become the linear gradient, and both are known as gradient itself. Commonly we can tell gradient. That's enough. So now you have the design that how you can create that. You have the activity. So apply border to image. When we put cursor over the image, means you have one image. When we putting mouse over the image, the border have to apply. So already we had done that activity also. We done more than that. Here you can see that which is the solution. Linear gradient. Okay, 1 second. Next example, next one is the write code for the below design. Which type of gradient this one? Either linear or radial. Means there be passing like horizontal. Which direction it's moving? Let's see. Compare the design. Top red, in the middle yellow, and bottom is the green. Top is red, middle is green, and bottom is yellow. It means we have to pass the angle. This one. The same thing we will get in this also. Here is the code. Now these all are like CSS table. If you want extra, then it is here. And the same thing we had designed there also. So nothing more in this case. Then here you have sample code for the navigation bar, how we can create the navigation bar. So just you can copy paste, you will get more. It means it is working there. That's it. That is the CSS. So if anyone have any doubt, anything, you can ask the question. Any issue, any topic?
Sir,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
we are taking a rectangle and circle. So how can it transfer in a 3D animations?
Yeah, that you have to do somewhat extra. That's everything is not in that simple 2 line of code. For that you have to think regarding the polygon shape. Means different CSS is there. CSS is not that it's this much only. Many deep concept is there. Got it? So you have to learn somewhat deep. Then we can means everything we can design. Nothing is impossible. That we can tell. But we have to think each point that how it will move. Many important topics are there inside also. We had covered somewhat important point, but many types are there inside. So but problem is that time we can't cover actually all things in 1 day, 2 day. That's the thing. Okay. Any more question? So no more. Yeah. So we will share this slide. Let me stop the recording.